Can you remind people not to yell at each other while the Facebook Live is on, because it does pick up and it does sound, yeah? Can you remind people not to yell at each other during the Facebook Live, please? That's you especially, huh? Are you giving... Ooh! Good afternoon, everybody. Are we live? Yes, yes? Okay, very good. So this afternoon, we're going to take a look at fermented foods. Basically, Gut Health 101. So in March, we were looking at simple and effective foods. And we want to continue the simplicity of our approach, but we want to go a little bit more into slow food. So simple and efficient, but for slow food, there's a process that has to happen. In fermentation, there's a process, and it takes a while. For example, I made the kefir here on Friday. So it takes at least 3 days for it to have the right amount of sourness and for the bacteria to have developed so that they've actually become a useful probiotic. Kefir is actually much better for you than yogurt, because the combination of the yeast, the lactic yeasts and the lactobacillus groups are able to colonize the gut in a way that yogurt isn't. Yogurt can contain, if it's a good organic yogurt, like a Baramba yogurt or something like that, it can contain Acidophilus, Caesiae, Bifidus, Thermophilus, Bulgaricus. It can have 5 live active strains in the yogurt. But what happens is it tends to pass through. Yes, it takes out pathogens on the way, but what we really want to do is to populate the gut. And kefir is much better at colonizing and staying in the gut than the yogurt is. So that's why I particularly wanted to make that. It's very, very simple. I just took a liter of organic yogurt and warmed it up to the right temperature, let it cool down again, mixed in the kefir grains, very, very simple, 5 grams of kefir grains. They're in little packets, so it's absolutely foolproof. There you go. Just one of those 5-gram packets. You want a flash? Ken? Okay, mixed with the 1 liter of milk, and then we just left it literally on the table here, fermenting away. And this morning it just has the right amount of sourness, and I don't know where the best place to look for that is. There's a nice thick curd in there now, but it is a pouring yogurt. It's like iron that you get in Germany and Turkey. So it's a drinking yogurt, and it's packed full of that good bacteria. So I'm just going to get feedback, because you haven't tasted it yet, have you? We'll see what she thinks. I like it, but I like sour things.
Before that, we have Dionys, who says hi.
Oh, hi. So nice of you to join us.
Says hi as well.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you, everybody, for joining me.
Who says love to the kefirs.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's great. That's so nice to know that I'm actually speaking to somebody. Fantastic. So, my dear, what do you think of that?
Do you add sugar?
I added absolutely no sugar, of course. No, it's just the milk sugar. And what happens is that...
Naturally sweet.
That's good feedback. What happens is the lactobacillus takes the milk sugars and transforms them. So even people that are lactose intolerant can drink this, because the lactobacillus has transformed it. Okay, so there's no more lactose in there. So that's what often happens when I suggest to people that they try kefir to help stabilize their gut. They say, oh, I'm lactose intolerant. With kefir, that's not a problem because the bacteria has actually processed the lactose. So cheers, everybody. It is. And it's chilled now. When I tried it, it actually was warm. This is very good. Okay, I'm happy with that. So that's kefir. Very, very easy to make. We're going to put the recipe online. Very, very simple. You just need a source of organic milk. And there are several in Singapore. There's Arla. That's quite a nice one. And I used Marks and Spencer's. They're going to laugh because I always use Marks and Spencer's when I can. I've been shopping there since I was 10. So Marks and Spencer's have a very nice organic range they bring in. So I took a litre of that, warmed it up, cooled it down, added the kefir grains, and then just basically waited for 3 days. What I did was I actually put that little muslin over the top instead of the metal lid. Now it's completed. Just put it over the top so it can breathe and the fermentation just takes place. And you have a wonderful probiotic drink at the end of it. So incredibly simple. Anybody could do that, right?
How long can we keep the kefir after it's made?
I would say 3 to 5 days, depending on where you keep it. Okay. So I would probably not want to eat it much or drink it much after the 5 days, but it should keep perfectly well in the refrigerator for that amount of time. Remember, it's already sat 3 days fermenting here, so it should at least be able to last 3 days. I would give it 5. Okay.
But we do know that there's no additives, so
There's absolutely no additives. No, seriously, it's just the kefir grains and a good organic milk. That's all. I have something else here we have in the shop. I'm going to have a drink of as well. This is kombucha. This is a raspberry kombucha. You can see how nice and fizzy that one is. So that's something else that you can populate your gut with. This is particularly important, of course, if you've had a course of antibiotics, because the antibiotics wipes out good and bad bacteria in one fell swoop. So you do need to repopulate it if you've had to have antibiotics. So raspberry kombucha. Oh yeah, that's nice. Want to try? You're happy with your kefir? I'll give you a little bit for later, okay? There we go. Share, right? Very good.
the kefir though.
You like? I'm so glad you like it. I'm so glad you like it. And it's quite thick too. I'm surprised it's thicker this afternoon than it was this morning.
They actually add some fruits and nuts and all that.
That's exactly what we can do. And if you look at some of the recipes that we already have online, you'll find that we've used the kefir with our super powders, for example. So if you want an extra boost, you could actually put just a teaspoonful, that's all you need, of the freeze-dried strawberry powder or the freeze-dried wild blueberries. Those are awesome. Seriously awesome. Okay.
Yes, so in previous episodes, we have already done the recipes.
Yes, we have.
So we could add more.
Yes. So your kefir is a fantastic foundation for all kinds of smoothies. And as Faith said, you can actually blend in some of our dried fruits, that wonderful range we have coming in from Turkey. You can put nuts in there as well. You can actually have a green smoothie. We've got wheatgrass powder over there, or you can actually use the fresh Japanese sweet choysum is one of my favorites. So yes.
What Joanne said.
What's that? Yes, absolutely. Yes. You can pour it all over many different things. I mean, you can just steam vegetables and just pour a little kefir on top. Kefir is so versatile. Really, it's well worth making. And as I said, it's so simple because this particular one, again, is freeze-dried. So it's the lactobacillus bacteria plus the lactic yeasts freeze-dried together. So it's convenient in a little package, and you can simply process it like I did. You can also get live kefir grains if you have somebody who's making it and who would make it regularly, then that's also awesome. I don't have at the moment. I did ask my friend, but she doesn't have a live culture at the moment, but maybe we'll do that later on. Okay, so kombucha, kefir, very, very pleasant drinks. Did you try how's the kombucha? What a face. Fizzy, yeah. That's another thing about fermentation, of course. Fermentation produces fizzy things, which I like. I'm very fond of fizzy things. So fermented foods, just to run quickly through the possibilities, we have the kefir, we have sauerkraut, which we're going to make later. Kimchi, of course, is another fantastic fermented food, one of my favorites anyway. The kombucha we have. There's also a possibility to have coconut kefir if you're worried about the lactose or if you don't want to have the dairy product. For example, if you're vegan. Natto, of course, is the fermented soybean. Again, wonderful for the B vitamins and repopulating the gut. Yogurt we mentioned at the beginning. Kvass we're going to try and do later today. I've got some really nice organic beetroot here. And I've just washed it. And the interesting thing about fruit and vegetables is that the lactobacillus actually exists on the skin. So I'm just going to take the top and the bottom of this off and cut it like that. And we've got a saline solution chilling now that we're going to work together with. And we're going to try and make beetroot kvass, which is an amazingly nutritious drink as well. So that's kvass. In Europe, actually in Russia and Eastern Europe in particular, they also make fantastic kvass from sourdough. So they take the sourdough bread and they ferment that, which is just amazing. Then, of course, there's apple cider vinegar, the real apple cider vinegar with the mother that hasn't been pasteurized. That's another way to repopulate your gut. Coconut vinegar, again, unpasteurized. Real pickles, so we can pickle all kinds of things, right? When we're just using then a brine, so not vinegar, just using the brine so that, again, we get the lactofermentation. Tempeh, of course, similar to natto. And, of course, that wonderful flavoring, unpasteurized miso. So those are your fermented foods, or those are the fermented foods that we wanted to mention. Gut health is really important because there's this gut-brain link. And it really affects your moods. So if your gut is out of balance, you can be very cranky or very tired or just generally under par. So adding fermented foods into the diet is an incredible way to keep the gut stable and actually to keep yourself happier. So we're going to be talking about Gut Health 101 in general. We have 3 different P's. We have prebiotics, which are the foods that contain non-digestible ingredients that stimulates the growth or the activity of the gut bacteria. We have the probiotics like we have here that we've been talking about. That's food that contains viable microorganisms that alter then the conditions in here. If you have a good population of lactobacillus in your gut, then the pathogens, the bad bacteria, aren't able to increase. And it really is all about balance. It's not about wiping anything out. It's really about keeping everything in balance. And then we have postbiotics, which are the non-viable bacterial products or metabolic byproducts from the microorganisms that are actually living in your gut. So we've got pre, pro, and postbiotics, and we want to be taking those things actually into our diet on a regular basis. Okay, so simple and effective, and it's time really to be mindful about what you put into your gut. Very good. So we're now going to go into a little bit more detail with the slow food scenario, and you're going to have to watch me basically massage this cabbage so that the fermentation can start. So I'm going to wash my hands first. We're actually very lucky to have learned to wash our hands so well due to necessity, and to learn to pay much more attention to that, because it is important that we have things as clean as possible. So I have 2 salts on here. I don't know, can you see them from there?
Yeah, you can see.
Okay. So I have French sea salt and I have Himalayan rock salt. For the sauerkraut, I'm going to be using the French sea salt. And then for the kvass, we'll use the Himalayan rock salt. So you only need 2 teaspoonfuls and a bit of patience to start it off. And a bit of power too. There we go. So that's just 2 teaspoonfuls of this, and about 800 grams of the cabbage. And it's mixed cabbage because this time I want to have a nice purple sauerkraut. Okay. And you can, I don't know, can you hear that from my microphone? There's kind of a squelching crunch going on. And if you need a punching bag, you can also use this as a punching bag. Yeah, see? Because what you're doing is you're using the salt crystals to break down the cell walls of the cabbage and to release the liquid, which of course have, believe it or not, cabbage sugars in there. And then the lactobacillus bacteria that have been on the surface of the cabbage leaves have a field day, and they go, oh hoo, there's this nice cabbage sugar for us to ferment. Now I don't know if you can see, but it's actually getting wetter. Can you see that?
Ask how much cabbage do we use?
About 800 grams, and I've used 2 teaspoonfuls of the French sea salt. So I've got roughly 400 white and 400 red here. Both cabbages are very nutritious. In fact, cabbage is one of the top 10 things that you need to be eating on a regular basis because it is so healthy. There. Looking much wetter, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to punch it some more. You can actually hear the squelch at the bottom. I need quite a bit of water because I want a little bit of water, the white cabbage and carrot in, which is why it has that nice orange color. And we're going to have a taste of that when I've put this all together. Are you timing my 10 minutes?
No.
No?
Let's just go with the feel.
We'll go with the feel. But you can see that it's changing quite considerably, but I don't have enough water yet. So I'm going to have to bash it a bit more.
It's really wet now.
Yep. And it's going to be a beautiful color because the anthocyanins from the red cabbage are going to color it, and it's going to be a beautiful shade of purple at the end. Squelch. You should be able to wring the cabbage out in the end. Ah, can you see the drips coming out? So it's beginning to work.
Ina asked if the kids can drink this.
The kids can drink kefir, yes, of course, and the kombucha. The liquid from the sauerkraut is salty at the moment, so I wouldn't advise drinking that. I would wait until it had fermented, because that's when you get the good bacteria. So it's beginning to look like wet rags. How much have we got? Not quite enough. I'll go for a little bit longer. And I've got a sterilized jar over there, which will pack the cabbage in. And again, I'll punch it down as we pack it in. And then we'll put a hat on it and leave that to ferment again.
You added 1 tablespoon of salt?
2 teaspoonfuls. The recipe will go out online, and it's the same recipe that we used for the cabbage and carrot. So about 800 grams of the cabbage and 2 teaspoonfuls of the French sea salt. Some of the ribs of the cabbage are a bit thicker, so they need a bit more pounding. Because we want to get the sweetness of the cabbage available for the lactobacillus to process and transform. Fermentation is the most amazing transformation. And man has been doing it for thousands of years. Fermentation, of course, is the process behind wine, beer, mead. Maybe we should do some of those next week, huh? But it is important, remember, always to use organic vegetables, because you want to reduce the amount of toxins going in to your diet as much as possible.
Non-organic vegetables.
You must peel the skin, otherwise it will be coated with chemicals. So very important to peel the skin. And of course, remember, the skin is where the goodness and the fiber is concentrated. So if you're peeling it, you're losing it, which is why I say it's important to have organic fruit and vegetables. There are lists available, particularly from Environmental Working Group, that will help guide you, because not everybody can afford to buy everything organic. But there are lists every year published by EWG that you can check out which fruit and which vegetable has the highest pesticide concentration for a particular year. Strawberries, for example, are almost always at the top of the list because they're like sponges. So if you're eating non-organic strawberries, you're eating a little pesticide bomb, which is why I'm so thrilled that we've got this freeze-dried organic strawberry powder coming in from Croatia. I had one of our customers asking yesterday. She was desperate to find strawberries. And I said, well, if you think about it, it's autumn now in the southern hemisphere, and it's early spring in the northern hemisphere. So the natural fields of strawberries are not yet available for harvesting. Usually strawberry season is from June onwards in Europe, and you would only therefore get strawberries that are grown in the glass house. I know the Koreans produce some wonderful winter strawberries in their greenhouses, but that's the only strawberry really that you probably have at the moment, because it's not strawberry season. And that's where these super powders really come into their own, because of course you can use them year round, and they really make a wonderful combination with the kefir, because you have all the goodness of the strawberry plus the probiotics and the nutrition.
So wet now.
It's pretty wet. I mean, you saw what it was to begin with, right?
Yeah.
It was dry cabbage. But that's the effect that the salt has. It draws out the water. And then the fermentation process can begin. Okay, do you think we've got enough now?
Yeah.
I think we probably do. Awesome. So I'll just have another wash. There's a sterilized jar. This is the messy bit. This is where a little hand would be good, I think.
Or use a spoon.
I've been massaging it. I may as well just do it by hand, huh? To get all that goodness in there. There we go. Okay. Press it down well. Use that fist. It's quite frothy at the moment, but it will settle down. And we want all that wonderful liquid. There we go. It's a gorgeous colour now. How about that colour, eh? There is being mean again and grabbing everything out of the bowl. There we go. Okay. Pressing it down a little bit more.
Nina asked how long should we keep this? Like how long does it take to ferment?
Okay, a minimum of 3 days. And then basically you let it ferment until it reaches the sourness that you like. So it's personal preference. And then as soon as it reaches the sourness that you like, you refrigerate it. And you can keep it actually for quite a while in the refrigerator.
So they should ferment it at room temperature?
Yes, room temperature. And just scrape down the bits from the side. Make sure it's as much as possible is under the water. There we go. I'm just going to wipe the mouth. Look at that colour. I'm so pleased with that colour. There we go. There's my little muslin. Okay. Very good. How are we doing for time? Are we good for time? Good for time?
30 minutes.
Awesome. Okay. So now we'll taste the other one. Did you have some of this morning?
No.
No? Okay. Here we go. Want to see? So there's a nice lot of liquid on there, as you can see, and that's what's keeping the process going. There. Okay. So we have spoons somewhere. I know I put them out. There they are, right in front of me. So basically, as we said, as soon as it reaches the sourness that you like, then you refrigerate it. I like things sour. Can you hear the crunch? Oh, that's delicious, as far as I'm concerned. So what would you eat your sauerkraut with, if you were me?
Pork
Yeah,
knuckles.
that's right. Absolutely, pork knuckles. So here you go, lovely.
It's these.
Ooh, nice, right?
So good.
I know. The first time we made it here, the girls loved it so much that every time that we got
Let's order pork knuckles now.
yes, they like the pork knuckles too. Every time we got the spare cabbage, then we would have a go at making it. So there you have a beautiful orange sauerkraut, courtesy of the carotenes in the carrots. And next to it, this wonderful red cabbage has also made a beautiful color sauerkraut. You can, of course, just make white cabbage. That's perfectly acceptable. And again, you get all the goodness from the cabbage in your diet. Just going to wipe off the...
This is white cabbage, right?
That's white cabbage with orange carrots. That's why it takes up the color so well. There we go. Okay, so one of the best things you can do for your gut is to make sauerkraut. Can you see that from the camera? That's visible? Oh, yes. Very good. Okay. So we thought we want to encourage you to try this at home. So we've got some specials here. It's okay. Cabbage is really, really, really one of the top healthy vegetables that you need to be eating on a regular basis. It's top 10, okay? And it actually does double detox duty because it acts as a diuretic, meaning that you eliminate more and it takes the toxins with it. Plus, it's a sulfur-rich vegetable which helps the liver to break down the toxins so that they can again be more easily expelled. Now, sulfur is the third most abundant mineral in your body, and we don't talk about it very much, but it is incredibly active in many, many metabolic processes in the body. So very, very beneficial to eat cabbage. And if you have a disturbed gut, there's something in the cabbage called L-glutamine, which improves the gut flora, improves constipation, and is particularly beneficial in IBS and leaky gut. So it has the fiber, it acts as a brush sweeping out the intestines, but it also has these beneficial phytonutrients. Of course, as it's raw cabbage, it's also packed full of vitamin C, and there's the provitamin A, the carotenoids in there as well. So you can't do better for your gut than change your lifestyle and start making cabbage into sauerkraut with me. So very, very easy. We're going to pop the recipe up. Two alternatives. You can color it with carrots or you can color it with the red cabbage. And like we said, it takes a minimum of 3 days to begin to have the good bacteria in there. Okay, so we had kefir, we had kombucha, we have sauerkraut. The next one we have is something called kvass, and I'm very excited to make this because I've never made it before. But these went so well that I'm optimistic. So we're going to try and make beetroot kvass. The offers that we have in order to encourage you are buy any 3 cabbage today until midnight, right?
24 hours.
24 hours, she said. She's being generous, okay? So any 3 cabbages for $6.95, whereas the usual price would be $8.70. So begin your healthy lifestyle habit by making sauerkraut with this special offer on cabbage. The cabbages are awesome. Some come in from Thailand, the white cabbage. Some come in from Malaysia. And the red cabbage comes in from Australia. So these are certified organic cabbages. And we also have wong bok. We might make kimchi a little bit down the road, but we didn't do it this time. The wong bok is, of course, the one that is used to make the classic kimchi. So cabbages, all cabbages. And we have the Savoy cabbage in again today, which is one of my favorite cabbages. Three cabbages for $6.95. Now the beetroot, beautiful organic beetroot, again coming in from Australia, 600 grams for $6.20. The usual price would be $7.80 because beetroot is an amazingly nutritious vegetable. It's very, very good for the cardiovascular system. Beetroot juice, of course, helps with high blood pressure. The beetroot itself, the betalain, helps with the formation of the red blood cells. So very, very nutritious. We bring it in from Australia because it doesn't taste as earthy as the ones that come in from Thailand. So this is specially brought in. This is Boss's decision. He makes very good decisions. So beetroot, 600 grams for $6.20. Usual price, $7.80. Then the carrot, I actually used Australian carrots. I happened to find Australian carrots. I've only got Thai carrots in the shop today. Carrots 3 for $11.90. The usual price would be $14.97. So if you like carrots, that's a deal for you. And we have radish as well. I don't know if you saw me pickling radish back at the beginning of COVID, but we have beautiful purple radish with the leaves for anybody who wants to make the 5-element soup. Available 2 pieces, so that would be 800 grams for $5.75, whereas the usual price would be $7.20. You're gonna bring me radishes? I love radishes. Okay, so that's the one that comes in from Thailand without the leaves. And these are the gorgeous ones that come in from Malaysia with the leaves. The leaves, of course, are very beneficial as well. You can see this beautiful purple coloring here. Of course, this is anthocyanin. This is the antioxidant that is touted to be so good for health. So you can also pickle your radishes. If you go way back in our Facebook, you'll see us doing a purple radish pickle. Very good. Any offers on the salt? No. The salt is actually a very reasonable price already, I think. So Himalayan rock salt or French sea salt. Do not use table salt, iodized salt, or anything like that. The fermentation won't happen. Okay, so you need to be using either a sea salt or something like the Himalayan rock salt. interesting fact which I read as I was meandering through all the possibilities for today. Okay, so we are now going to try and make beetroot kvass. So I have 4 organic beetroot that I've washed already. The skin, of course, we leave on. Number 1, because it's organic and that's where all the antioxidants are. Number 2, because that's also where the lactobacillus is, and we want that lactobacillus for fermenting. Okay, so I've got one cup of cut beetroot already, but I'm just literally going to take the top and the bottom off.
Yeah, says to keep purple cabbage.
She'd like some?
Yeah, she's gonna pick it up on Saturday.
Oh, so we need to reserve it, is it?
Yes.
Okay. I just cut some up and Kay wrapped it, so that would be awesome. Just taking the roughest bit off, that's all. There we go. All my rubbish in there. Where's my big knife? There it is. So just rough cubes for this. It's very, you can smell beetroot. It's very therapeutic cutting vegetables. My father used to love to do it. He'd go off into the scullery and prep all the vegetables for the Sunday lunch. And it's important to do it just before you're going to use it, because of course as soon as you cut the vegetable open, they start to lose the water-soluble vitamins, the vitamin B group and vitamin C. There we go. And I've got my Himalayan rock salt brine is chilling because we heated it up earlier. So I'm going to pour it back into the Thermomix where I heated it. And then pour it from there into the jar again. The Himalayan rock salt, of course, has a color itself. It is pink, supposedly from the iron. So that's one of the reasons that they suggest that the Himalayan rock salt is beneficial, because it does have more minerals in. For me, what is interesting is that it was produced in a sea 250 million years ago, when the earth was considerably less polluted than it is now. So as long as the mining takes place under relatively hygienic processes, then that particular salt is far more pristine even than the sea salt, which we are getting today, because as some of you know, the sea salt is already contaminated by the plastics that are floating in the ocean, not to mention the nanoplastics. Sorry, I'm going into doom and gloom here. Okay, so let's get our brine solution. Ugh. You can probably see there's the pink sediment at the bottom. You see that? Very good. And it's nice and cold now, so I'm very happy. I was worried it wouldn't be cold enough. Okay. I'm going to pop it into here. Then put the beetroot in the jar. The jar is sterilized. And then pour brine to about 2.5 centimeters below the top of the jar. I'm just going to put a little bit of the color in. There we go. Very good. So here goes our organic beetroot. Washed but skin on, because we want the lactobacillus that's living on the skin to do our fermenting for us. So I guess it will be about half a jar of chopped beetroot. Apparently, you can also, once the beetroot's been pickled and you take off the liquid, you can have the pickled beetroot in your salad. Beetroot was one of my mother's favorite vegetables, so we used to grow them in the garden. And there would be beautiful, sweet, tender baby beetroot to have with our salads. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, so here we go. Gorgeous color again from the betterlane. Is that about 2.5 centimeters from the top? I think a little bit more, right? Good? Enough, huh? Very good. Remind me to take that out. I don't want that. Oh well. That's a bit...
Might as well.
No, it's a bit dried out. I'll dispose of that one, I think. Okay. There we go. Okay. So again...
We asked what is that white water from? Whatever you just poured in.
Oh, that's Himalayan rock salt boiled together with filtered water. We're always using filtered water here. So I'm staining the cloth pink with my pink hands. Because you want to remove as much of the chlorine, etc., that's normally found in the tap water. So filtered water and Himalayan rock salt just brought to the boil, and then we chilled it. And then we're going to put it, as you saw, over the beetroot and again allow it to ferment. Incredibly simple. Everybody could do it. Well worth it. Beetroot kvass has probably been made, or is recorded as having been made in Eastern Europe back in the Middle Ages. So it's something that has been part of their healthy diet for a very long time. They also used to make kvass from sourdough bread. That's the real bread, the wholemeal bread. And what the beetroot kvass in particular does is to help cleanse the liver and the gallbladder, okay, improve the bile flow, which means, of course, it assists the body in eliminating the toxins again. So it has alkalizing properties as well as having the antioxidants, because remember, this is raw. The cabbage is raw, the beetroot is raw. We're not destroying any of the antioxidants. We're not losing the water-soluble vitamins, okay? So the idea of these foods is that they really add a lot of benefits to your diet and reduce the risk of serious disease. With the fiber in the sauerkraut in particular, of course, that's very beneficial for diabetes type 2 and for things like cholesterol. Increasing the fiber in the diet, we'll talk a bit more about that with our gut series as we go on later in the series. So
It's really awesome and simple and easy.
It's really simple. Kids can do it with you. It's you know, with supervision, the kids can have fun. They're beautiful colors, which I think is always appealing to kids like me anyway. And even the 2 super powders we have here, you add them to the kefir and they're going to have a most amazing color, as well, of course, as all those beneficial antioxidants. Okay, so we're going to be putting the recipes up on the website. You can follow them very, very easily. You saw what I did. It's not rocket science. Anybody can do it, okay? And, of course, everybody has been doing it since the Middle Ages. So it's very beneficial. It's only with our fast food scenario that we've lost how to preserve the foods to preserve our health. Salting, of course, was the way they managed the winter. So when they didn't have fresh fruit and vegetables outside in the garden to pick, they would pickle so that they would still have the beneficial properties of the fruit and vegetables available to them. They would also heat seal them. Of course, jams is another way of dealing with it, with adding sugar and preserving in that way. This is the way things have always been done to cope with the weather, basically. Okay, so once more, just through our special offers, cabbage, that's the wongbok, the English cabbage, the red cabbage, and the Savoy cabbage, any 3 for $6.95. The beetroot, 600 grams for $6.20, usual price $7.80. Carrot, 3 for $11.90, usual price $14.97. And those beautiful radishes, especially this gorgeous purple radish. I love this. This is fantastic roasted, by the way. I experimented with that at the beginning of COVID. That's awesome roasted. Have you ever had roast radish? No, right? So purple radish is just the most amazing radish. And these wonderful leaves, of course, are here as well. 2 pieces of the radish, 800 grams for $5.75. Absolute bargain. The Koreans, of course, make a beautiful pickle with the radish. It's called katdugi. It's probably my favorite pickle on the planet because I love the sourness and the crunch that goes with it. So there are like cubes of radish that are fermented together in the solution with the chilies. So that's funny. That's probably best of all.
Ask if the water can make sourdough.
Sourdough's usually made with the something like a rye flour and water. I don't know if the same thing would help the sourdough. It might. I've never done it. I've always used the wild yeast and the water and the rye flour to make a sourdough starter for the bread. So I'll pass on that. Vina, I don't know. It's possible because it does have the lactobacillus in. We could experiment. We haven't got on to bread making at the moment because I have no oven here. It blew up. So, but yes, we did do a bread making course that was great fun years ago. Fantastic. Okay, thank you very, very much for your attention. Please help yourself to our wonderful offers for vegetables that you can ferment and produce probiotics to improve your gut and therefore your mood. Remember the gut-brain link? When your gut is well nourished and balanced, then you too will be happy. Take care, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.